So now I'd like to move on to our third presentation for today, which will be given by the Group Chief Executive Officer of Ecobank Transnational Incorporated, Mr. Adeyemi. Ade has 27 years experience in banking. He was extremely well known when he was at Citibank as CEO of their Sub-Saharan Africa franchise. 5 years ago, he joined Ecobank as Group Chief Executive Officer, and he has overseen the digital transformation of the bank over those years. Today, he's going to talk about Ecobank's value proposition and the significance of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. So Ade, the floor is yours, and thank you very much for joining us today.
I thank all of you for asking us to put a space here on Ecobank itself. My share of the task is to talk through Ecobank as a proposition. And as my brother from ECOWAS said, the word eco in Ecobank is actually from ECOWAS. And that means that when we were set up as an institution, the purpose was to be regional, the purpose was to go beyond one country, and the purpose was to drive integration and contribute to economic development of the continent. And we remain very close to that. And therefore, if you're talking trade, you will know that the Lome Convention around trade was signed years ago, and it also explains to you why we are headquartered in Lome. If you go to the next page, please. As Ecobank, if you look at the map, when people ask me, how many countries are you present in Africa? It's easier to count from where we are not present than to start counting for where we are present, because we do businesses, banking business in 33 countries and have rep office in 2 other countries in the continent. And our view is that if there's going to be anybody to link the continents together, to ensure that instantly payments can be made from one place to the other, to ensure that people no longer need to carry cash even when they are going across their borders, to ensure that when you buy goods, you can actually pay for it instantly. That entity is Ecobank. And that is the reason why we were formed, and we are prepared to ensure that we use that facility that we have at the disposal of the continent to ensure that the integration does happen. Because that integration, as a lot of people have said, does create a unique opportunity for our people, that we no longer need to talk about Africa and eliminating poverty and minimizing poverty. We now start talking about Africa and doing things to talk about wealth creation for the land part of our people. I know it is each country on its own can talk about we don't want dumping in our neighborhood. But ultimately, it has to be understood that the whole of Africa is being dumped into. So if we can figure out a way to ensure that Africa actually becomes a bigger player within ourselves, and we come together to become a bigger player outside ourselves, it will be a unique proposition. It will be a unique proposition the day we can take hide and skin from Kano to make shoes in Lagos and bags in Aba, and be able to work with our colleagues in Cameroon to enhance that further and be able to export it out of Cameroon. Each part of us can participate, and therefore job will be within us, and we have opportunity to do much better. If you go to the next slide. So what can Ecobank do to support all of this? We do have a large business. We do have fast execution. We have a network of correspondent banks that are first class that connect Africa to the rest of the world. And our officers in international trade will ensure that they work with all of you as we try to monetize this opportunity. Of course, we still have many foreign exchange situations in our countries, but what is important is to be able to do it fast and to ensure that we are able to hedge properly. and we can deliver in 33 African countries. That is critical, because when trade needs to happen, the flow of cash needs to happen instantly. When it doesn't happen, people lose trust, people lose money. Our view is that we make Africa not to have border from a payment point of view, but everybody to be able to get connected. And we put the technology together that connects all our countries. So with that technology, we can then work with everybody to put it at the disposal of Africa, as I said, to ensure that we can have an African country that is properly connected. That is the essence of continental free trade area. A continental free trade area is to enable people to buy and sell and pay for it instantly. If you go to the next slide. In the next slide, we'll try to showcase what we can do, from timely issuance of trade-based risk-bearing instruments to speedy trade payment and settlement, our robust trade value chain proposition that ensure that, whether it's receivables and payables, we can provide financing, but we can connect people from one place to the other. Our payment proposition that is we call Omni, both for trade and for supply chain financing. All of this enable us to be a partner to ensure the execution of the trade across our continent. I understand that when one wants to move from one country to the other, there's still proposition that people need to carry cash, but you no longer need to carry that because we can connect. And not just us, by the way, most of the other banks can connect. But our purpose today is to try and showcase what Ecobank can do, what Ecobank needs to do, why Ecobank was formed, and to make that at the disposal of all of you who are doing trade across Africa, to signal that we no longer need to just say, okay, we work with our bank in one country and the other. It's important to start thinking Africa, to think continental, not to think one country. And I know it's not that easy to do. The small countries will say we are going to be marginalized, and the big countries will say people are going to dump into us. Ultimately, if we all work together, there is something in each and every one of us that we can do. No country is so poor that it doesn't have something valuable to give, and no country is so rich that it doesn't have something valuable to receive. If we all come together, we can all make this work much better. If you go to the next slide. As I said, we're a forerunner of integration. We were formed because of the need for integration. And we continue to add value to Africa. We continue to add value to our customers. And our view is that we plug the continental trade finance gap of about $91 billion with our capital. It will ensure that we are now in a position to start talking about creating wealth, not eliminating poverty. And we've tried to demonstrate that in our work with African Union along the time of, okay, we have COVID, so what do we do? We said we will expand our financing for micro, small, and medium-scale enterprises across Africa on preferential trade terms because it will enable them to be able to do much better. If you go to the next slide, this slide tells you what every bank can do and what Ecobank can do across all the continents, whether it is capital in terms of debt and equity, investment banking proposition, creating access to market, creating access to people's capabilities. All of this tells you what we are putting at the disposal to ensure that the Intra-Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement becomes a reality. If you go to the next slide. Well, for it to be successful, I'm happy that my brother Mr. Awolowo is here. We need the commitment of government to the agreement and preparedness of our individual nations to implement this. We need a commitment to free movement, signing and ratification of the protocols, within readiness for trade facilitation. In all of this, we can be fearful of the unknown because it's unknown, it's in the future. But the one thing we can't be fear of is to dare and hope as people of the continent. And I'm sure all the things that we are afraid of are things we can all resolve. We go to the next slide, please. For Ecobank, we are committed. Our commitment is unequivocal. We support this. We think it is the future of our continent for Africa to come together to create a bigger market that we can use to attract investment opportunities in our continent. We cannot be driving many cars and we import all of them. We have opportunities we used to have. Those things being created in our countries, but now we import them. And we keep talking about the goods. What about the services? You will see that in the last 1 year, you see so many of the global technology players are opening in our countries. They are opening in South Africa, they are opening in Kenya, they are opening in Abidjan, they are opening in Accra, they are opening in Nigeria. We have the opportunity to connect all of these countries to create good job opportunities for all our teeming youth, that they can become part of the global value chain of the technology future, that they can create apps, they can create software that can be incorporated into what this global market needs. That is how to create wealth. And we all need to focus on it. We cannot say, as I said, and I will close with this, that no country is so poor that it has nothing to give. And no country is so rich that it has nothing to receive. All of us collectively can become better by working together. So thank you very much, George. I hand back to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ade. Inspiring stuff, and certainly a very Pan-African vision for a Pan-African bank. You said in your speech, you talked about the need to think continental. Ecobank is probably one of the few banks in Africa which can genuinely say it's Pan-African, stretching all the way from Senegal in the west to Mozambique in the southeast. So when it comes to the Pan-African footprint of Ecobank, it's both a challenge and a strength. What are the challenges and strengths of being a Pan-African institution when it comes to supporting intra-Africa trade?
Well, the challenge is obvious. When I go to countries, some people say I'm a Nigerian bank, a West African bank, and I had to tell people that look at my color, I'm an African bank, I'm as black as you, okay? Therefore, some of those challenges are there. There are situations because of our Pan-African, we need to have one technology that connects all our countries. And some countries say, oh, we want to have our own. I cannot have 33 technologies, 33 data centers. So please, guys, let's try and find a workable way to make this successful. Those challenges are there. But those challenges pale when you look at the advantages of being able to commit that I can make payment in seconds in 33 countries in Africa. That I can assure somebody that you can leave Aba and take your goods to across the border to Cameroon, and you can once you get there, you find an Ecobank there. It's powerful. The conversation, I don't talk to people about your country. I talk to people about the continent. And when we have 35 out of 54, it is now a small matter of partnership. We don't need to open in every country, but of partnership to connect all the others. And that's why a lot of people are coming to us and say, connect us to Africa. Nobody says connect us to Nigeria. Nobody tells me connect us to Accra. Nobody tells me connect us to Timbuktu. They say connect us to Africa. That's a powerful advantage. Thank you.
Thank you, Ade. Well, maybe on that point, you talk about the importance of partnerships. It's obviously impossible for a single bank to be able to do everything in Africa. And partnerships are essential if you really want to get down to the last mile and really serve all of the clients in the trade value chain. What for you are the most important partnerships that Ecobank has developed and that you're working on developing to deliver these cross-border services?
Okay, so you're right that trying to do everything ourselves means we are not going to do all of them well. When we look at the mobile network operators, MNOs, they are partners. We work with them. They deliver last mile for us. We created FinTech Challenge to make sure that those small FinTech players can actually become our partners. We create that challenge, we work with them. We've opened our API so that they can do work and connect to us. They are partners. We're working with a lot of people in their various neighborhoods that we call express points that can actually deliver payments to their neighborhood and collections in their neighborhood. They are partners. So from our point of view, we work with the petrol stations where people go, because as you buy the petrol, you can actually do banking services. They are partners. So from our point of view, all of these partners are critical. And we don't need to look at ourselves and say, oh, this person is competitor. We don't want to talk to you. We don't want to take our trade secrets. We want you to collaborate. You can't collaborate if you don't know. Thank you.
Thank you, Ade. I wonder if we could talk now a little bit about mobile banking, because it is such an African product, you could almost say. It's something I'll be talking about in my own presentation. The mobile phone has become, as was predicted 20 years ago, the remote control for life. And pretty much everyone has one. And Ecobank was certainly one of the first movers when it came to developing mobile products for its banking customers. How do you see the next wave of mobile services developing? And what part can banks like Ecobank play in that process?
Thank you. When we were developing our mobile app, we did not want it to become Ecobank Nigeria mobile app. We did not want it to become Ecobank Ghana mobile app. We have a mobile app that you download and you can set it up for 33 countries. You can set it up for 4 languages. So which means that any of our customers can download and they can use it in 33 countries and they can customize it to 4 languages. That is important so that people don't have to, each time they move from one country to the other, start earning multiple phones. Each time we have customers that have account with us in Accra, have account with us in Cameroon, have account with us in Nigeria. You don't need to have 3 phones. You can just switch from one to the other. That is a good advantage. And as we go forward into the future, start allowing those payment propositions to start providing a lot of information to people on how much they spend, and start extending the value of the mobile payment to be the one that allow them to provide security to cards payment when they travel. Because when we have situations where people have false negatives. I mean, if you want to you put your card and you say, oh, it's not you, but we want you to be able to authorize those things using your mobile phone, because those are all extensions of payment services. And as we go forward in the future, there will now be opportunity to collaborate with other players, insurance sellers and co, advertising people so that they can advertise on them. It reduces further the costs of people using the mobile services. So we have a whole range of future value proposition, what the people in the mobile network industry call value-added processes to ensure that, one, we get services to people at the price point that they can afford, in the comfort of their various homes, and we have very little digital footprint on their phone, so that we don't put massive data on their phone. And we also make sure that they can trust us with the information that we have. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ade. I think that's a very important point, which is often not mentioned. But there are very few data protection laws or enforcement in Africa, and it's good to see that Ecobank has the whole data security right at the top, because of course that will be the future of the economy, the data economy, which Africa is moving towards. I wonder if
I can just mention, our responsibility is not whether the law has been enacted but whether the need is there. We take our responsibility very seriously, but we don't look at whether a law has been enacted, but whether a need is there. And because we want to be that global institution that brings best practices to our countries, it is a responsibility we take very seriously. Thank you.
Thank you, Ade. Well, I wonder if I could get back to another comment you made. You were saying there should be no payment border in Africa, which is very much referring to the single payment platform that Ecobank has, which can be used for cross-border trade. This ties in with maybe a question, if I could bring it in from one of our delegates, Taiwo. He said, how is Ecobank able to facilitate intra-Africa trade if given the CBN FX restrictions? Is the bank able to facilitate payment within its network without crossing through US dollars or other non-African currencies? Maybe if you could answer.
Okay. So, when I think about payments, we still need to comply with law. So if there are laws in one country, we comply with the law in that country. If the law says there's a limit, we have to comply with that law, because we cannot operate a lawless society. However, as we go forward into the future, let's not just think about now, because we can do this now in 32 countries instantly. And if you have a DOM account in Nigeria and you have all the necessary documentation, we can do it in Nigeria as well. But the issue of FX shortage in Nigeria is temporal. The issue of FX shortage in our countries is temporal. As we walk towards this intra-Africa trade and we start talking about creating wealth instead of managing poverty, there will be sufficient for all of us that the need to manage and limit what you can do will no longer be there. We look towards a future in which some of the controls that are there now because of shortages will no longer be there because we've created abundance. If we no longer need to import fuel into Lagos, if we can use our tanneries to be able to create leather works and export, if we can export all the food items, not only to Africa, but collectively put it together to export to the rest of the world, if we can partner together in all the shea butter that is available in the West African continent and be able to drive the price properly and get more value abroad, we will be talking about managing wealth, not shortages.
That's great. Thank you very much, Ade. I wonder if I could move on to the whole question about the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. You stated very clearly in your presentation Ecobank's unequivocal support for it. But from your perspective and the fact that you are an old hand when it comes to African banking and you've seen many different changes over the years, where do you see the real benefits coming from this free trade area in terms of trade, in terms of regional economies, in terms of the people?
Okay, thank you. When somebody looks at, I live in Togo. So the Togolese men, Togolese now. I live in Togo. We are 7.5 million people. I cannot ask Volkswagen to come and set up a manufacturing of cars in Togo just to serve Togo market. But they can set it up in Togo to serve West African markets. They can set it up in Lagos to serve West African markets. So that an investment opportunity is not just looking at individual fragmented countries, is looking at the whole continent. Remember, our continent in terms of GDP is as big as India. But we don't get that treatment because we are fragmented. If we come together, it's a much bigger conversation. It's 1 billion people. It's 3 trillion GDP. That conversation is different from 7.5 million people, 4 billion GDP, and then the next country, and the next country, and the next country, and the next country. So the international market is just picking us against each other. And by the way, I still consume orange juice that is imported from Turkey in Togo, or mango juice. And a lot of mango people, the people that plant good mango in Togo, those mango go to waste because industrialists have not seen a large enough market to actually install a manufacturing base in Togo to process our mango, because they will say the market is small. That is, you see, if you take everything away, it makes us more competitive. And if my brother, Mr. Wolowo, is talking in the global arena, he will not just say Nigeria, he will say Africa. He will say, I represent 1.2 billion people. Then you can say, you can stand with the person representing India and say, you know, we are same number of people, but we have 10 times your land mass.
Exactly. I think that very much nicely puts it into perspective. And maybe if they could change some of the maps as well would be helpful to show Africa its true size and not smaller than Greenland. I'm afraid we're almost out of time, but I would like to ask you one more question, which is actually about COVID, if you like, the elephant in the bedroom, but just really asking how it's been for the bank helping its clients through the process, and where do you see the perspective for the new months? We're trying to adapt to the new normal. We know a lot more than we did 6 months ago, but there are challenges ahead.
So thank you. So the first thing we need to do is to deal with the issue from our staff point of view. Make sure our staff can work from home, work from wherever they are, ensure that the social distancing, all those laws, all the things, which are good things but to be done, ensure we can comply with that. And we also make sure that we, in all our countries where we are present, we actually dedicated sufficient money to support the community in which we operate, to be able to be those first responder to make sure that we can do that. The next thing is to then say, okay, so we've got a problem, but we also get opportunities. So how do we transform these problems into opportunity? Because now we know that we cannot use one country as a manufacturing center for the world. We cannot use one place for the world in terms of medicine. We can no longer say that, you know, if everything happens, I will buy a ticket, I hop on the plane, and I will be in London, I will get my medical checkup. It's no longer there. Or I will take my kids out for education, they will not be there. So we started working globally with customers and with other entrepreneurs on how do we build back better. And that conversation we've been leading with others. But not to forget that Africa is full of micro, small and medium scale enterprises. So we partner with African Union to say, okay, these micro, small, and medium scale enterprises, what do they actually need? Before capital, they need organization, they need training. So we work with African Union together with other partners to provide that training, and we've launched that training, for example, in about 6 countries today. Because as we go forward, we will have to be able to say, not again, we will be caught unprepared. Because we cannot say that pandemic will not happen, but this time we were caught unprepared. We didn't even have face mask. We didn't even know how to manufacture face mask. But quickly, our people discovered that the same machine that you use to sew cap, you can use it to create a face mask. But it took some time. So those are the things we're doing, dealing with our staff, making sure they're better prepared, dealing with the community in which we operate, make sure we provide our own support to them, dealing with how do we get back better in partnership with a lot of people. And you see me mention partnership several times because, you know, there's an African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, you go alone. If you want to go far, you go together. And we want to go far.
Thank you very much, Ade. Stirring words indeed. I'm afraid we're out of time, but I would like to thank the Group CEO, Adeyemi, for taking the time to speak to us today about the Ecobank value proposition.